You don't need more time or more chances right now. At this exact second, your life is already shifting into alignment with abundance. And the money you thought was impossible, coming from the moment you decide that your financial identity has changed, not is changed. Version of you that can manage more, handle more, and receive more without breaking under the weight of blessing. Your financial breakthrough isn't a fantasy. It's a realization, a shift in identity. Because prosperity doesn't start with money. It starts with permission, your permission. Permission to stop playing small. Permission to stop waiting. Permission to step into the next chapter without dragging old stories behind you. Listen, your life is not meant to stay in survival mode. Your calling isn't to merely get by. You are being positioned for overflow. You are being aligned for expansion. You are being prepared for supernatural acceleration. Picture your life 6 months from now. Stability replacing stress. Breakthrough replacing worry. Freedom replacing fear. This is not imagination. It's instruction. A divine nudge telling you, go step forward, claim what's yours. The money you need is finding pathways. The opportunities you're waiting for are forming. The favor you prayed for already released. You are not chasing abundance. Abundance is locating you. And the number connected to this season, $7,770,000, is not random. It is a symbol of completion, spiritual alignment, and unstoppable financial manifestation. You are stepping into a chapter where things that once felt impossible will become normal, where blessings show up faster than problems, where your bank account begins to reflect the person you've quietly been becoming. So right now, speak this with confidence. I am ready. I am receptive. I am aligned. I am chosen for abundance. Because the next miracle attached to your name is already in motion. Clarity and confidence are two of the most underrated forces in the world of wealth. Yet, they determine more about your financial reality than your current income, education level, or opportunities. Most people assume money responds to strategy alone. But strategy is powerless without emotional alignment. When you're uncertain about what you want, or insecure about whether you deserve it, wealth doesn't know where to land. Money is like a signal-based system. It flows where there is direction, intention, and conviction. When someone is unclear, hesitant, or divided inside, that signal becomes scrambled, and abundance cannot move toward them in a stable, consistent way. You've probably seen this in people who keep switching goals, changing plans, or doubting themselves every time life gets uncomfortable. They may work hard, but their inner world keeps pushing money away because uncertainty creates resistance. Clarity is the foundation. It means deciding what wealth looks like for you without apologizing for it, without diluting it, without trying to make it more realistic because of past disappointments. When you declare a financial intention with a steady heart, whether it's a specific amount, a lifestyle shift, or a new income level, you create a target that the universe, opportunity, and your own psychology to begin to organize around. People underestimate the power of a clear target because they focus too much on the how. But the how becomes visible only after the what is defined. Money is attracted to people who know where they're going. A clear financial vision builds emotional momentum, and momentum is a magnet. Confidence is the amplifier. It's the emotional posture that tells the world, I am capable of managing more than I currently have. Confidence is not arrogance. It's evidence of self-trust. It's the belief that when resources flow your way, you will not crumble under the weight of responsibility, nor will you sabotage the blessing by shrinking into fear. Money tends to stay with people who are emotionally stable around it. If you panic at the sight of a bigger number, if you doubt your ability to sustain growth, if you secretly believe wealth is too big for you, money senses that instability and slips away. The same way a person might hesitate to invest in someone unreliable, abundance hesitates to remain with someone who is internally conflicted. Confidence also changes the decisions you make. A confident person invests, takes calculated risks, asks for what they're worth, pursues opportunities that stretch their capacity, and refuses to settle for scarcity-based choices. They are not reckless, they are anchored, they move forward even when the path is imperfect, because their belief in themselves is stronger than the obstacles ahead. Those decisions compound. They create momentum, credibility, resources, and breakthroughs. A person operating from fear, on the other hand, freezes, doubts, second guesses, and allows hesitation to steal chances that would have changed everything. Over time, that fear-driven pattern becomes financial stagnation. Clarity sets the destination. Confidence fuels the journey. It's why some people seem to attract opportunities without effort, while others work tirelessly without significant change. It's not luck, it's alignment. When your mind is clear and you're inert, why confident? You stop sending mixed signals. You stop asking for abundance while thinking in scarcity. You stop desiring financial growth while avoiding financial responsibility. Instead, you become someone who expects alignment, who welcomes wealth, who treats abundance not as a miracle, but as a natural extension of who they are becoming. Clarity tells money where to go. Confidence tells money it's safe to stay. And together, they unlock the flow that transforms financial reality from unpredictable to intentional. Attracting financial breakthroughs has almost nothing to do with wishing, hoping, or waiting for something miraculous to happen. The real transformation begins when your daily actions finally match the identity you claim to want. Most people never reach their next financial level because they stay trapped in an old version of themselves. Someone who reacts emotionally to money, avoids responsibility, procrastinates, doubts their value, or secretly believes they're not meant for more. Manifestation isn't magic. It's identity alignment. When your behavior contradicts the identity you desire, abundance cannot stay with you. When you try to jump into wealth with a mindset built in poverty, there is friction. That friction blocks momentum. Every desire you have is tied to a version of you that already exists internally but hasn't been activated yet. If you want more money, you must become the person who naturally operates at that level. People misunderstand manifestation because they focus only on the outcome, like wanting $770,000 to appear, while ignoring the inner shift required to hold that level of abundance. You cannot simply want wealth. You must embody the identity of someone capable of generating, managing, and sustaining it. Identity is the blueprint that your actions follow. When your identity expands, your decisions follow. When your identity remains small, your decisions shrink to match it. You can always tell someone's identity by the choices they make under pressure. Breakthroughs appear when your inner world upgrades before your financial world does. When you start speaking differently about money, treating it differently, thinking differently, and expecting more from yourself, you send out a signal that abundance can respond to. People often think they need motivation to change their habits, but in reality, habits change the moment your identity shifts. If you see yourself as someone disciplined, if you see yourself as someone destined for overflow, you behave like someone who expects overflow. If you see yourself as someone worthy of financial ease, you make choices that reflect that worthiness. Identity is the quiet force that influences every move you make. Wishes are passive. Identity is active. Wishing keeps you stuck because it allows you to remain the same person while expecting different results. Identity forces growth because it demands alignment between who you say you are and how you actually live. When you stop wishing for money and start becoming the version of you who attracts, they are predictable outcomes created by internal alignment. The moment your identity shifts from someone hoping spiritually, you become a natural environment for wealth to grow. Without preparation, even if money arrives, it cannot stay. That's why some people receive opportunities but lose them quickly. They were never prepared to steward what they asked for. Preparation begins with order. Money does not move into chaos. It moves into clarity, accountability, and structure. Think of wealth as a guest. It goes where it includes emotional maturity. Money amplifies whatever is inside a person. If someone is reckless, insecure, impulsive, or guilt-driven, wealth intensifies those qualities. That's why abundance waits for emotional stability. You must become someone who responds to challenges calmly, who doesn't panic at unexpected expenses, who doesn't crumble at financial pressure, and who doesn't sabotage opportunities out of fear. Emotional maturity means you can handle responsibility without breaking, make decisions without chasing instant gratification, and separate your worth from your wallet. When you develop that inner strength, you naturally attract more because you have proven you can handle more. Another part of preparation is expanding your capacity. Many people pray for abundance, but live with a mindset built for survival, not overflow. They ask for millions while thinking in terms of scarcity. They dream big but make small decisions. They want more money but avoid the type of growth, risk or exposure that greater opportunities require. Capacity grows when you push past comfort. Take initiative. Commit to learning and stretch your skills. When you develop competence, confidence, and resilience, you expand your ability to receive larger blessings. Abundance flows where capacity exists because capacity ensures sustainability. Prepared individuals recognize opportunities faster than unprepared ones. They are attuned to possibilities, sensitive to timing, and courageous enough to act. Opportunities rarely come labeled. They show up disguised as challenges, invitations, or small openings. When you are prepared, you seize them instantly because you've already built the inner groundwork. When you are unprepared, you overlook them because your mind is too distracted by fear or disbelief. Every major financial breakthrough in life typically begins with a moment that prepared people recognize, but unprepared people ignore. Spiritual alignment is also part of preparation. This means believing you are worthy of receiving, expecting good things without self-sabotage, and trusting that divine timing works in your favor. Prophetic money does not flow to someone who constantly doubts themselves. Limitations come from external circumstances, salary, economy, background, or opportunity, but in reality, the deepest limitations are internal. They come from beliefs formed years ago, often unconsciously, that shape how you see yourself, what you think you deserve, and how you respond to money. These beliefs become invisible, walls that keep you from stepping into the abundance you pray for. You cannot hold a wealthy future while carrying a mindset built from past scarcity. Something must be released before something greater can be received. Limitations often come from childhood experiences or repeated disappointments that taught you to expect little so you wouldn't get hurt. Maybe you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Or people like us never get ahead. These phrases seem harmless, but they quietly shape your identity. They create an emotional script that whispers, be careful, don't dream too big, stay small, stay safe. And once these beliefs take root, They influence every financial decision you make. You begin to settle for less, avoid opportunities, and feel uncomfortable even imagining wealth. You follow the same patterns again and again, not because you're incapable, but because you're internally programmed for limitation. Letting go of these beliefs requires awareness. You must first identify the thoughts that surface when you think about wealth. Do you feel guilty wanting more? Do you fear losing what you gain? Do you worry about what others will think if you succeed? These emotional triggers are not random. They are inherited beliefs that no longer serve you. Once you notice them, you gain the power to challenge them. Releasing limitation means replacing outdated thoughts with new truths, beliefs that support expansion instead of suppression. Instead of thinking, I can't afford that, you begin thinking, how can I create the resources for this? Instead of thinking people like me don't succeed, you declare, I am becoming the person who succeeds. Releasing lack is not just mental, it is emotional. You have to let go of the version of you that survived by shrinking. You have to forgive yourself for past mistakes, financial losses, missed opportunities, or seasons where you felt stuck. Those moments were not proof of your limits. They were lessons shaping your capability. But many people hold on to these moments as identity, allowing old failures to define future expectations. To step into abundance, you must detach your self-worth from your past experiences. You are not the same person you were during your hardest seasons. You have new insight, new resilience, and new potential. Letting go means recognizing that the past is not your prophecy. One of the hardest parts of releasing limitation is confronting fear. Fear of change, fear of success, fear of responsibility, fear of judgment. Many people unknowingly cling to their old identity because it feels familiar, even though it limits them. Abundance requires expansion, and expansion requires courage. You must be willing to outgrow environments, conversations, habits, and relationships that keep you tied to scarcity. You cannot embrace wealth while surrounding yourself with those who normalize lack. Your atmosphere influences your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your reality. As you release limitation, you begin to notice how differently you show up. You take initiative instead of waiting. You seek opportunities instead of doubting. You make decisions based on vision instead of fear. This shift creates momentum, opening doors that once seemed unreachable. The moment you let go of lack, you become receptive. You stop resisting blessings. You stop sabotaging progress. You stop doubting your worth. And when your inner world releases the weight of limitation, your outer world begins to align with abundance naturally. Letting go of old beliefs is not about forgetting your past. It's about refusing to let your past define your future. When you breathe free from the mindset of scarcity, you make room for the identity, opportunities, and financial elevation that were meant for you all alone. Your financial future shifts the moment you decide to raise your emotional standard. Because money doesn't just respond to effort or opportunity, it responds to the emotional atmosphere you live in every day. Most people think wealth is about doing more, trying harder, or working longer. But the truth is far deeper. Your emotions create the lens through which you act, think, and make decisions. If your emotional standard is rooted in stress, fear, scarcity, or self-doubt, every move you make is colored by those feelings. You may desire abundance, but your body is operating from survival. And survival mode thinking cannot build wealth. It can only maintain the minimum required to get by. Your emotional standard is essentially the level of emotion you refuse to sink below. It is the emotional baseline you operate from, no matter what happens. For own people, their emotional standard is worry. They feel anxious unless something big proves they shouldn't be. For others, their standard is frustration, hopelessness, or insecurity. These emotional defaults silently shape their financial lives. When fear is your baseline, you hesitate on opportunities. When self-doubt is your baseline, you undervalue yourself. When shame is your baseline, you avoid dealing with your finances altogether. In this way, your emotional patterns become your financial patterns. When you upgrade that emotional baseline, everything changes. Instead of reacting to life from fear or scarcity, you begin responding from confidence, stability, and expectation. This shift doesn't mean you never feel negative emotions. It means you refuse to let them be your home. You may visit fear, but you don't live there. You may experience doubt, but you don't let it steer your decisions. Emotional standards determine identity, and identity determines behavior. When you emotionally upgrade, you behave like someone who expects wealth instead of someone trying to escape lack. Raising your emotional standard also increases your capacity. When you stop allowing stress to overwhelm you, you can handle more responsibility without collapsing. When you stop tolerating chronic discouragement, you free up mental energy to think creatively, pursue opportunities, and solve problems. Emotional strength becomes financial strength. People who rise financially are not the ones who never feel fear. They are the ones whose emotional standard is high enough that fear doesn't control them. They develop the ability to stay resourceful in adversity, calm in uncertainty, and focused in discomfort. These qualities allow them to outlast challenges that make others quit too early. Your emotional standard influences not only your actions but also your decisions. When your baseline emotion is confidence, you negotiate differently. You invest differently. You show up differently. You risk differently. You speak with authority instead of apology. You ask without shrinking. You seize opportunities without waiting for permission. This emotional shift makes you magnetic to resources, people, and opportunities because stability is attractive. People want to work with, support, and invest in someone who carries emotional clarity and self-assurance. Another powerful aspect of emotional standards is how they shape expectation. Financial breakthroughs flow toward people who expect growth, not those who expect disappointment. Expectation is not wishful thinking. It is a quiet assumption that good things are on the way. When your emotional standard is hope, gratitude, and confidence, you naturally expect better outcomes. And because expectation influences behavior, you behave like someone preparing for blessing instead of bracing for disaster. This alignment creates a powerful energetic signal that accelerates manifestation and draws financial opportunities into your orbit. Upgrading your emotional standard also helps break cycles. Many people repeat the same financial mistakes because they repeat the same emotional reactions. When something goes wrong, they spiral, shut down, panic, overspend, overwork, or retreat. But when your emotional baseline is stronger, the cycle breaks. You respond differently, which creates new outcomes. You no longer collapse under pressure, you rise in it. You no longer fear money, you manage it with clarity. You no longer overthink opportunities, you move with certainty. Ultimately, your emotional standard is the thermostat of your financial life. You can desire millions, but if your emotional thermostat is set to scarcity, you will unconsciously sabotage your way back to that familiar level. But when you intentionally raise your emotional standard, you raise the level of wealth you can hold, sustain, and expand. The elevation of your emotions becomes the elevation of your financial future. A 7,770,000 shift may sound sudden, miraculous, or supernatural. But in reality, every major breakthrough is built on small, intentional decisions that compound over time. People often imagine wealth arriving all at once, but abundance follows patterns. It rewards consistency, discipline, and alignment long before the financial results show up. Those tiny choices you make every day, how you think, how you respond to challenges, how you handle your current resources are constantly shaping whether you are moving toward overflow or drifting back into lack. Financial elevation doesn't begin with dramatic leaps. It begins with small shifts in identity and daily behavior that eventually become unstoppable momentum. The biggest mistake most people make is underestimating the power of small actions because they don't produce immediate results. They think the change needs to be massive or instant to count. But the truth is that the million-dollar version of you is built in quiet moments. Moments where no one is watching. Moments where it would be easier to procrastinate. Moments where you choose discipline over distraction. Wealth is the echo of repeated actions, not random blessings. A person who consistently makes decisions rooted in growth, responsibility, and intention creates the internal structure required to hold and manage large amounts of money later. Each small decision strengthens your capacity. When you commit to showing up every day with clarity and intention, you build emotional resilience. The kind of resilience needed to handle bigger challenges, bigger opportunities, and bigger blessings. Wealth demands responsibility. It requires emotional stability. It requires self-trust. Every tiny disciplined choice grows these qualities within you. Just like physical training builds muscle over time, financial habits and mental alignment build financial muscle. And the stronger that internal framework becomes, the easier it is for abundance to flow without overwhelming you. Consistent daily decisions also strengthen your identity. Every time you make a choice that aligns with the person you want to become, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, worthy, and destined for more. Identity isn't formed through dramatic moments. It's built through repetition. The small decision to think bigger, the small decision to handle your bills with intention, the small decision to learn something new, the small decision to stay focused rather than scroll. These are not insignificant. They are identity builders. They expand your sense of who you are and what you are capable of. And your identity determines how much abundance you can receive and sustain. These small choices also create opportunities that weren't visible before. When you act with purpose daily, you naturally become more aware of possibilities. You start recognizing openings others overlook. You start taking steps others are too distracted or fearful to take. As your consistency grows, strangers become connections. Ideas become plans and plans become income. Every small action is like planting a seed. Some seeds sprout quickly, others take time, but every seed contributes to the harvest. The 7,770,000 manifestation isn't one giant seed. It's the collective result of hundreds of small ones planted consistently. Another powerful part of this process is momentum. Tiny decisions build momentum faster than occasional big efforts. When you take one small aligned action each day, your brain begins to crave progress. You feel more capable, more focused, more motivated. Momentum is one of the strongest forces in manifestation. Once it starts flowing, it becomes easier to make better choices, attract opportunities, and maintain stability. People often wait for motivation before taking action, but motivation comes after consistent action, not before. Eventually, these small daily decisions accumulate into a new lifestyle. What once felt difficult becomes natural. What once felt unfamiliar becomes your norm. When your actions begin to match the identity of someone who handles wealth confidently, the breakthrough arrives. The 7,770,000 shift isn't a sudden gift. It's the natural consequence of the version of you built through daily alignment. You don't manifest wealth by wishing for it. You manifest it by becoming the type of person who naturally attracts, holds, and multiplies it. And that transformation happens one small, deliberate choice at a time, until abundance has no choice but to enter your life. Receiving abundance is not simply about wanting more money or imagining a better life. It requires giving yourself full permission to step into a version of you that no longer hides, shrinks, or limits what is possible. Many people pray for financial breakthroughs, yet subconsciously block the very blessings they ask for because deep down they haven't granted themselves the emotional or psychological permission to receive. They are still operating from old narratives, stories of unworthiness, past mistakes, fear of judgment, or the belief that wanting more somehow makes them selfish. Abundance doesn't respond to desire alone. It responds to readiness. And readiness begins with permission. Permission is an internal shift. It's the moment you decide you are no longer obligated to stay small to make others comfortable. It's choosing to outgrow the identity that learned to survive on just enough. When you give yourself permission, you stop apologizing for wanting a better life. You stop justifying your goals. You stop diluting your dreams. You stop asking life for the bare minimum. You begin to move with a new emotional authority and inner, knowing that you are allowed to prosper without guilt. This shift alone changes the energy you emit, the decisions you make, and the opportunities you attract. One of the main reasons people don't receive abundance is because of hidden emotional blocks. These blocks come from old conditioning. Maybe you were taught that money causes problems, that wealth makes people greedy, or that success leads to abandonment or jealousy. These ideas create internal conflict. You consciously want abundance, but subconsciously you fear what it might bring. So when opportunities appear, you hesitate. When blessings arrive, you minimize them. When doors open, you question if you're worthy. This is not a lack of opportunity. It is a lack of internal permission. Releasing these beliefs and giving yourself new terms of identity is how the flow begins. Granting yourself permission also requires releasing the pressure to be perfect before receiving. Many people believe they need to fix everything, heal everything, accomplish everything, or prove something before abundance arrives. But waiting for perfection keeps you stuck. Wealth flows to those who take action while growing, not those who wait until they feel flawless. Permission means acknowledging that you are deserving now, not later. It means understanding that abundance doesn't come because you have no flaws. It comes because you have purpose. The moment you stop disqualifying yourself, you allow the blessing to reach you. Another powerful element of permission is emotional responsibility. When you give yourself permission to step into abundance, wealth requires accountability, managing more, choosing wisely, leading confidently. Some people resist abundance because they feel overwhelmed by responsibility. They fear losing control or making mistakes. But permission means trusting yourself to grow into whatever level of responsibility your next chapter requires. It means believing you can handle the increase, steward the blessings, and evolve into the version of you that wealth demands. Permission also influences the environments you allow yourself to enter. You stop staying in places that shrink your potential. You stop engaging in conversations that limit your thinking. You stop surrounding yourself with people who normalize lack. Instead, you begin to place yourself in environments where abundance feels natural, not intimidating. You align with circles that speak growth, not fear. When you give yourself permission to step into elevated spaces, you experience opportunities that were previously invisible to you. Most importantly, permission shifts your expectations. Instead of hoping for abundance, you begin to expect it. Expectation is powerful because it anchors your energy into a state of readiness. You stop bracing for disappointment and start preparing for increase. You handle your current finances differently. You make decisions with more confidence. You speak about your future with more authority. You move as though the blessing is already on the way. This expectation creates a magnetic pull that draws abundance closer because you are emotionally aligned with receiving it.
What if I told you that right now, at this exact moment, your life is shifting in ways you can't see yet? And before today ends, the universe may send you a financial blessing you didn't even ask for. I need you to stay with me because this isn't luck. This is alignment. By the end of this message, you'll know the one mental switch that turns unexpected money from a fantasy into something that seeks you out. Yes, you. Not someone luckier, not someone richer. You. Before we go deeper, I want you to check something. How are you breathing right now? Because the way you breathe reveals exactly how you receive. Most people breathe like life owes them nothing. Light, shallow, cautious. People who attract abundance breathe like life is already happening for them. So right here, take one deep breath and say quietly in your mind, I am open to unexpected blessings. The emotional state you carry is not just a mood, it is a frequency that shapes the opportunities, people, and resources that gravitate toward you. Most people chase money with strategies, plans, and pressure, but very few realize that their emotional atmosphere decides whether abundance sticks to them or slips through their fingers. When your emotional state is restless, fearful, doubtful, or tense, you send out a signal of scarcity. It's like telling the universe you're preparing for loss, preparing for rejection, preparing for things not to work out. And when you vibrate at that level, even good opportunities feel heavy or suspicious. And you don't take action when blessings are right in front of you. But when your emotional state is centered, confident, open, and receptive, you broadcast a completely different message. One that says you are ready to be trusted with more. The universe reads emotional alignment far louder than spoken words, rituals, or affirmations. Because emotion is the core programming of your inner world. You do not attract money simply by wanting it. You attract it when your emotional state matches the feeling of already having it. Think about this clearly. Every time someone has a breakthrough moment, unexpected income, a surprising opportunity, a job that appears out of nowhere, it never comes in a moment of panic. It comes when they shift internally, when something inside them loosens, when they let go of the tightness that was blocking their own blessings. Your emotional state is the gatekeeper. When you're tense, you're closed. When you're relaxed, you're open. When you're fearful, you're defensive. When you're grateful, you're magnetic. Money flows to emotional environments where it feels safe, respected, and valued. If your emotional world is filled with thoughts like, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if nothing changes for me? You create internal resistance, and resistance always slows or redirects the flow of abundance. But when you shift into an emotional state that says something good is coming, everything begins to move differently. Your body posture changes, your energy changes, your decisions change. You start noticing opportunities you would have ignored. You start taking small steps that compound into breakthroughs. Most people underestimate how sensitive the universe is to emotional signals. They assume manifestation is about repeating words, but it is really about repeating feelings. Emotion is the language of your subconscious, and the subconscious is the engine that attracts or repels experiences. If you feel calm and certain, you activate a gravitational pull toward what you desire. Even unexpected money follows this law. Many people block financial blessings because they carry emotional guilt around receiving, or they associate money with stress. When you adjust your emotional state to one of ease and expectation, you clear those emotional blockages. Feelings of worthiness, feelings of being supported, feelings of certainty create an inner opening. And that opening allows money to find you in ways you could never logically plan. It could be a delayed payment arriving suddenly, a random refund, someone deciding to help you financially, an opportunity that pays far more than expected, or a situation that turns unexpectedly in your favor. All these events require one thing from you, an emotional state that says yes. When your emotions say yes, the universe moves faster. When your emotions say maybe, everything stalls. When your emotions say no, abundance turns away. And the most incredible part is that you have full control over this internal environment. You can choose to shift your emotions by shifting your focus, your breath, your self-talk, or the expectations you hold about your future. The universe responds not to desperation but to alignment, not to begging but to belief, not to doubt but to emotional openness. What you speak becomes the energetic blueprint for what you receive, because every word you release carries an intention, a vibration, and a direction. People often underestimate the power of their own voice, not realizing that spoken words are instructions you send to your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind then reshapes your reality to match those instructions. When you say things like, "I'm always struggling, money is hard to get, nothing ever works out for me," you are not just expressing frustration. You are reinforcing a blueprint of limitation. You're telling your inner world to prepare for lack. You're telling the universe to reflect that lack back to you. Over time, your words become patterns. Patterns become beliefs, and beliefs become your lived experience. On the other hand, when you speak words of abundance, expectation, and gratitude, even if your current circumstances don't show it, you begin creating a new energetic instruction. You're shifting the frequency of your inner world. And that shift sends out a signal that the universe responds to. The mind listens to the voice more than anything else because the voice has authority. It is the voice that declares identity. When you say, "I always find a way," your subconscious searches for solutions. When you say, "Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways," your subconscious becomes alert to opportunities that match that statement. When you say, "I am worthy of financial blessings," you dissolve layers of internal resistance that may have been blocking abundance for years. Your voice shapes your expectation, and expectation shapes your reality. This is why repeated words have such transformative power. Repetition carves new mental pathways. At first, when you speak something positive, it may feel awkward or untrue because the old blueprint is still active. But the subconscious mind does not reject repetition. It absorbs it. The more consistently you speak empowering words, the more naturally your mind shifts toward abundance. Words eventually become feelings, and feelings are the true magnets of manifestation. When your spoken words align with emotional conviction, the effect multiplies. You start thinking differently, feeling differently, behaving differently, and attracting differently. Most people don't receive abundance because they use their voice against themselves. They speak fear, speak doubt, speak limitation, and then wonder why life reflects those things. Your voice is the steering wheel of your future. If you say you're unlucky, you'll notice only what confirms that. If you say opportunities never come, you'll overlook the ones right in front of you. If you say you aren't meant to be successful, your subconscious will sabotage every chance that appears. But if you say something good is coming, you open a doorway. If you say money is finding its way to me, you shift from chasing to attracting. If you say I deserve abundance, you instruct the universe to treat you accordingly. There is also a spiritual element to spoken words. Every tradition, every culture, every ancient teaching highlights the power of declaration. Words create reality because they activate intention. When you speak, you align your mind, your energy, and your direction with what you want. You are no longer hoping quietly. You are commanding clearly. Speaking abundance does not magically create money out of thin air, but it transforms the inner world that decides what you believe you deserve, what opportunities you recognize, and how confidently you move toward them. Your voice is not just sound, it is creation. Every word builds or destroys possibilities. When you speak abundance, you become a match for abundance. When you speak blessings, you prepare space to receive them. When you speak positivity, you elevate your entire energetic field. And once your spoken words consistently point toward prosperity, the universe begins aligning circumstances, people, and opportunities that match the blueprint you've declared. Small internal shifts create massive external changes because the outer world is always a reflection of subtle inner adjustments that most people overlook. Many individuals think transformation requires huge actions, dramatic sacrifices, or life-altering events. But true change usually begins with tiny decisions, minor adjustments in thinking, and quiet emotional movements that slowly redirect the course of your life. When you shift something even slightly inside your belief, your mindset, your self-talk, your posture, your expectations, you alter the frequency you operate from, and that frequency begins to attract different possibilities. A small shift in belief might seem insignificant in the moment, but it's like adjusting the angle of a compass by 1 degree. Over time, it leads you to a completely different destination. The biggest breakthroughs are rarely the result of sudden miracles. They are the result of inner shifts that accumulate until your external world has no choice but to rearrange itself. When a person decides to stop thinking, "I can't," and starts whispering, "Maybe I can," even softly, they begin unlocking doors that were once mentally sealed. That small internal change alters the way they carry themselves, the way they communicate, the way they make decisions. Suddenly, opportunities that previously felt intimidating become reachable. Conversations that were avoided become possible, and ideas that once felt unrealistic start turning into action. These changes don't begin physically. They begin silently in the mind long before anyone else notices. It's the inner shift that prepares you for the outer reward. When you stop fearing money and start respecting it, your spending habits subtly change. When you stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles and start seeing yourself as someone capable, the choices you make naturally align with success. These small emotional and mental realignments create ripples that eventually become waves. Every major transformation in a person's financial life starts with a moment of internal permission. Permission to want more. Permission to feel worthy of more. Permission to expect more. These mental permissions don't look dramatic from the outside, but they completely change the direction of your energy. Once you shift from hopelessness to possibility, you start noticing opportunities you previously ignored. Once you shift from stress to clarity, you start making smarter decisions without even trying. Once you shift from fear to curiosity, you allow yourself to explore paths that once felt unsafe or unrealistic. Every internal shift opens a new door. Even the smallest shift in emotional state can produce massive results. When you begin replacing daily anxiety with daily gratitude, the way the world responds to you changes. Gratitude raises your vibration, and a raised vibration attracts circumstances that match your improved energy. When you shift from complaining to appreciating, life begins to offer you more to appreciate. When you shift from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking, you become receptive to blessings instead of resisting them. These shifts may feel small, but they trigger enormous external change because they realign you with the flow of abundance rather than the weight of fear. Another important aspect is how the subconscious mind works. It is incredibly sensitive to subtle cues. If you begin repeating small, empowering thoughts, even weakly at first, the subconscious mind starts adapting. It doesn't need a loud declaration. It just needs consistency. Over time, this changes your habits, your emotional reactions, and even your identity. A person who shifts their identity from struggling to growing experiences a completely different life. Even if nothing external changes immediately, The internal shift eventually forces the external world to adjust. Small internal shifts also increase your ability to recognize and receive unexpected money, opportunities, or blessings. When you shift from doubt to expectation, you begin acting like someone who expects good things, and that changes everything. You make bolder choices. You follow intuitive nudges. You open messages you might have ignored. You take risks you previously avoided, all because your inner world has shifted slightly. The universe responds not to the size of your desire, but to the sincerity of your internal alignment. And even the smallest shift, when maintained, becomes powerful enough to reshape your entire outer reality. The universe responds fastest to clarity, conviction, and repetition because these three elements form the strongest energetic signal a person can send. Most people ask for abundance with a scattered mind, mixed emotions, and inconsistent intentions. They want money, but they also fear responsibility. They desire success, but they doubt their capability. They speak positivity for 1 minute and then fall back into negative self-talk the next. This inconsistency creates a blurred signal that the universe cannot amplify. Clarity sharpens the message. Conviction strengthens it. Repetition stabilizes it. When you combine all three, you create a powerful frequency that the universe recognizes immediately, and it begins rearranging circumstances in your favor. Clarity means knowing exactly what you want and why. A person who says, "I want money," sends a vague vibration, because money can come in countless forms. Opportunities, jobs, gifts, ideas, partnerships, refunds, unexpected support. But a person who says, "I am ready to attract financial opportunities that elevate my life and match my purpose," sends a more defined request. Clarity is not just about the amount of money. It's about the emotional direction behind it. The universe responds to intention, and intention becomes sharper when you are honest about what you truly want. When your intention is vague, your results become unpredictable. When your intention is clear, your path becomes visible. Conviction is the emotional force behind your clarity. You can want something, but if you don't believe it's possible for you, the energy weakens. Conviction does not mean arrogance or blind faith. It means holding an inner certainty that what you desire is aligned with you. It means trusting that you are worthy of receiving it. Many people cancel their blessings because they ask with doubt. They affirm with skepticism. They dream with hesitation. The universe reacts to the emotional tone behind your request, not the words alone. When your emotional tone is strong, confident, and open, you communicate that you are ready to receive. Conviction is the difference between speaking abundance and embodying abundance. It is the inner knowing that shifts you from, "I hope this happens," to, "I trust this is coming." Repetition is what turns clarity and conviction into a consistent frequency. You don't send a signal once, you send it repeatedly until it becomes part of your vibration. Repetition is how the subconscious mind learns. When you repeat something often enough, your inner world begins to accept it as truth, even before it manifests externally. This is why affirmations, prayers, declarations, and mantras are ancient tools used across cultures. The universe recognizes persistent signals because they indicate that your intention is not temporary or impulsive, but deeply rooted. Repetition also helps you override old beliefs that were formed through repeated negative experiences or repeated limiting thoughts. When you consistently repeat a new empowering direction, you retrain your mind, elevate your vibration, and attract experiences that match your upgraded identity. When clarity, conviction, and repetition work together, manifestation accelerates. You begin noticing signs, synchronicities, aligned opportunities, and unexpected blessings because your inner signal is strong enough to guide you toward them. Your decisions become more aligned with your goals. Your actions become more intuitive. You stop second-guessing yourself and start moving with purpose. People are drawn to your energy. Situations unfold more smoothly. Solutions appear more easily. This is not coincidence. It is the universe responding to the stable frequency you are emitting. Many people think manifestation is slow or complicated because they send weak or contradictory signals. One day they feel abundant, the next day they feel unworthy. One moment they trust, the next they panic. But when you consistently project clarity about what you want, conviction about why you deserve it, and repetition to reinforce your direction, the universe knows exactly how to respond. Your energy becomes unmistakable. Your path becomes magnetized. Your blessings begin moving toward you faster because there is no interference, no confusion, no mixed message blocking the flow. Money flows to people who stop resisting their own worth, because financial abundance is not just an economic experience. It is an emotional and psychological state of allowing. Most people think money is blocked because of circumstances, lack of opportunity, or external limitations, but the deepest blockage comes from within. People unconsciously resist their own worthiness, and this resistance shows up in subtle but powerful ways. When you feel unworthy, you downplay your abilities. You hesitate to take opportunities. You reject help. You undercharge for your value, and you sabotage your progress. This internal conflict sends a signal of resistance to the universe, making it difficult for abundance to enter. Money does not flow to the most talented people. It flows to the people who genuinely believe they deserve it. Worthiness is not about ego or arrogance. It is about permission. When you don't feel worthy, you create emotional walls that keep blessings out. You tell yourself you're not ready, not capable, not deserving. And these thoughts become energetic barriers. You may pray for abundance, hope for wealth, repeat affirmations, or visualize success. But if deep down you feel undeserving, everything you want bounces off those inner walls. Many people unknowingly repel opportunities because they are emotionally conditioned to survive, not thrive. They carry guilt around wanting more. They feel shame around asking for what they deserve. They fear judgment, failure, and even success. All of this creates resistance. But when you stop resisting your worth, everything changes. You begin allowing opportunities to enter your life without questioning whether you're good enough. You start taking action not from fear but from expansion. You start accepting support, guidance, financial blessings, and unexpected opportunities without guilt or hesitation. Worthiness opens the door to receiving. When you feel worthy, you stop shrinking to fit into other people's expectations. You stop apologizing for wanting a better life. You stop assuming that abundance is for everyone except you. Instead, you begin to step into your natural value. And the universe responds by delivering experiences that match your elevated self-image. This shift in worthiness also affects the decisions you make. A person who feels worthy negotiates better, invests better, speaks up, and protects their time and energy. They don't settle for less than they deserve. They don't tolerate environments that drain them. They don't cling to scarcity mindsets. Their actions reflect someone who expects good outcomes. And those expectations create a magnetic field that attracts financial blessings. When you see yourself as valuable, you automatically move into alignment with abundance because worthiness and wealth operate on the same frequency. Another powerful aspect is that worthiness influences how you interpret opportunities. Someone who feels unworthy sees a door and thinks it's closed. Someone who feels worthy sees the same door and pushes it open. Someone who feels unworthy sees challenges as proof that they're not meant to succeed. Someone who feels worthy sees challenges as steps toward their breakthrough. Worthiness changes interpretation, and interpretation changes outcomes. Many financial miracles are missed not because they weren't available, but because the person couldn't recognize them due to low self-worth. When you stop resisting your worth, you also stop resisting the flow of money. You begin to see money as a tool, not a threat. You stop associating wealth with stress or fear. You allow yourself to imagine a bigger life without feeling guilty about it. You stop abandoning yourself to please others. You step into the truth that wanting more does not make you greedy. It makes you human. As you embrace your worth, you naturally raise your vibration. And this elevation pulls abundance toward you with less effort and more ease. The universe is always ready to give, but it waits for you to open your hands fully. Worthiness is the act of opening. When you remove resistance by accepting your inherent value, the flow of money increases, opportunities expand, and your life begins to reflect the abundance you finally believe you deserve. Your energy sets the timing of your blessings because the universe doesn't just respond to what you want. It responds to the vibration you hold while waiting. Most people delay their own manifestations not because the blessing isn't ready, but because their energy isn't. They get impatient, doubtful, frustrated, or fearful. And each of those emotions slows the arrival of what they're asking for. The universe matches your state, not your words. If you say you're ready for abundance, but your energy is restless and uncertain, you send out a mixed signal. Mixed signals create mixed results. Timing is not random. Timing is energetic alignment meeting opportunity. When your energy is frantic, you move into a state of resistance. You start forcing outcomes, questioning every step, comparing yourself to others and doubting the process. This creates tension in your vibration, and tension pushes blessings away. The universe works through ease, openness, and trust, not pressure. People often think waiting is passive, but spiritual waiting is active alignment. It is the practice of maintaining belief even before results appear. It is holding the feeling of receiving even when nothing in your environment has changed yet. When your energy is calm, trusting, and expectant, the timing of your blessings accelerates because the universe recognizes readiness. Energy is also influenced by your internal narratives. If you tell yourself that things take too long, that nothing ever works out, or that life is unfair, you create a vibration that delays manifestation. But when you shift into a narrative that says things unfold at the perfect moment, that something good is always on the way, and that delays are actually preparation, you align with divine timing instead of fighting against it. Your energy becomes cooperative instead of resistant. And when your energy cooperates, manifestation speeds up because you're no longer blocking the flow. This principle also applies to unexpected money. Many people ask for financial blessings while simultaneously holding energy of fear and scarcity. They cling tightly to every dollar, panic about the future, and expect negative outcomes. That emotional state signals to the universe that they are not ready to receive more. Abundance flows to people who feel safe with it. Safety is created through trust, not anxiety. When you shift from fear to confidence, from worry to expectation, from desperation to gratitude, you send a message that you are prepared to receive unexpected opportunities, financial support, new income streams, or sudden breakthroughs. Your energy also influences the timing of people entering your life. Opportunities often come through other humans, and the universe aligns these encounters when your vibration matches the next chapter you're stepping into. If your energy is heavy, closed, or unmotivated, you repel the very people who could help you grow. But when your energy is elevated, clear, and inspired, the right people begin to show up effortlessly. They appear in conversations, messages, chance encounters, or moments you couldn't have planned. This isn't luck. It's energetic alignment, creating precise timing. Another aspect of energy and timing is emotional preparedness. Sometimes you think you're ready for a blessing, but internally you still carry habits, fears, or doubts that would cause you to lose it as quickly as you receive it. The universe delays certain things not to punish you, but to protect you. It waits until your energy is strong enough, grounded enough, and aligned enough to sustain what you're asking for. When you work on your inner stability, your outer blessings arrive faster because you're no longer a risk to your own success. The moment your energy aligns, your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and expectations, the universe shifts instantly. Timing changes. The second alignment happens. What once seemed slow suddenly becomes rapid. What once felt blocked suddenly opens. What once felt impossible suddenly unfolds smoothly. Your energy is the clock. When you elevate it, you move into the timeline where blessings come not through struggle but through flow, not through pressure, but through natural unfolding. The moment you shift from wanting money to preparing for money, everything in your reality begins to change. Because preparation is the highest form of belief. Most people spend their lives hoping for abundance, wishing for breakthroughs, and dreaming of financial freedom, but they never prepare themselves for the life they say they want. Wanting creates desire, but preparation creates alignment. Preparation sends a message to the universe that you're not just wishing for abundance, you're ready to receive it. This shift transforms your energy, your decisions, and the opportunities that come your way. When you prepare, you elevate your vibration into the frequency of abundance. And that frequency is what attracts unexpected blessings, new income, opportunities, and financial miracles. Preparation is powerful because it removes internal contradictions. Many people say they want more money, but their habits, environment, and mindset say the opposite. They claim they want prosperity, yet their lives are not structured for it. They hold on to clutter, chaotic routines, toxic relationships, or emotional patterns that cannot support wealth. When you prepare, you clean up these contradictions. You begin making space physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for the abundance you want to receive. This act of making space signals readiness. It shows the universe that you are creating room for something bigger than your current reality. One of the most transformative aspects of preparation is shifting your identity. Instead of thinking like someone who wants money, you begin thinking like someone who is ready for money. You adjust your self-image. You start treating yourself with more respect. You make decisions that honor your value. You get comfortable with the idea of wealth instead of fearing it. When your identity changes, your reality has to follow. You begin acting like the person you want to become. And that action sets a chain reaction of opportunities. You stop making decisions rooted in scarcity and start making decisions rooted in expansion. You stop settling for less and start expecting more. This identity shift naturally attracts circumstances that match your elevated perception of yourself. Another powerful part of preparation is taking small aligned actions. People often think preparation requires huge steps, but it begins with simple shifts. Getting organized, planning ahead, improving your skills, managing your time, setting intentions, expressing gratitude, surrounding yourself with supportive people, or learning something new. All these small actions act as signals to the universe. They show you are expanding your capacity to handle more. Abundance requires capacity. If you want more money, but your life is full of stress, disorganization, or emotional heaviness, you won't be able to sustain it. Preparation increases your capacity. The more capacity you build, the more blessings you can hold. Preparation also removes fear. When you prepare, you eliminate the unknown. Many people fear abundance because they're not ready for responsibility, change, or growth. But preparation builds confidence. It tells your mind and spirit, I can handle what I'm asking for. This inner confidence is magnetic. It attracts financial opportunities because people, environments, and even spiritual forces gravitate toward energy that is stable and ready. When you feel ready, you radiate readiness. That energy is irresistible to abundance. The universe supports those who prepare, because preparation aligns you with the flow of creation rather than the energy of longing. When you prepare, you're no longer waiting passively. You're participating in the manifestation. You are stepping into the timeline where blessings can find you with ease. Preparation creates momentum, and momentum draws abundance faster. Life begins opening doors in places you never expected. People begin reaching out with offers or opportunities that match your new vibration. Sudden income appears through channels you hadn't considered. Unexpected money flows because you're finally aligned with the version of yourself who can receive it. The universe responds not to your desire, but to your readiness. And preparation is the clearest declaration of readiness you can.